Hello and welcome to Untwisted Threads. This is Knitting for Olive Cotton Merino. The 70% cotton, 30% merino wool yarn features 32 colors. The colorway that we chose is Rhubarb Rose. This 50-gram skein with 250 meters or 273 yards works up as a fingering weight yarn. The suggested gauge on 3mm needles is 28 stitches and 38 rows per 4 inches or 10 centimeters. For our swatch, I will be holding the yarn double and using a 4mm needle size. In today's video, we're going to review and score Knitting for Olive Cotton Merino using our 5 categories, which are availability, softness, traction, durability, and cost, to help you decide if this is the best yarn for you and your next project. Stay tuned until the end for a few pattern recommendations as well. Would you like to see how all of our yarns compare to one another or enter to win our monthly giveaway? Join our free newsletter linked in the description box below. Let's get started. For availability, we give Cotton Merino a score of 3.5 out of 5. Knitting for Olive originates in Copenhagen, Denmark, and typically when a yarn brand is European-based, it's not always very common here in the States. Although this yarn isn't available on any major craft websites here in the US or even the UK that we know of, there are quite a few purchasing options from other craft shops, including La Mercerie and now Wool & Company. I imagine in Europe, this yarn is probably at quite a few, if not at all of your local yarn shops. For softness, we give it a score of 4.2 out of 5. I'm going to be honest, I was a little hesitant to try another Knitting for Olive yarn because we weren't as impressed as we thought we would be with their heavy merino and pure silk. However, as soon as I felt this skein of yarn, I was so relieved. We can definitely understand the hype for this particular yarn. It just feels like a nice quality, even though cotton merino yarns seem to be difficult to get just right. We were happily surprised with this one. It's not a softness that will knock your socks off, but it's like, wow, this just feels nice and enjoyable. For comparison, it is softer than Concept by Katja Cotton Yak and not quite as soft as Cascade Yarns Cantata. I'd say it's pretty comparable to the Fiber Co. Luma. On a micron count scale, merino yarns range from around 15 to 25, with an average around a 20 to 21 micron count, and I believe this is about accurate for this yarn. Even though it only has a 30% merino content, its softness shines through. And it did noticeably get softer after blocking our swatch, which was even more of a treat. When it comes to breathability, cotton and merino are both breathable fibers, so you shouldn't have to worry about overheating in this yarn. It could be a great option to consider if you live in warmer climates or even just as a summer yarn. And I'm going to take a moment to praise and appreciate the evenness of the color and fibers in this yarn. It's absolutely beautiful. For traction, we give it a score of 4.5 out of 5. Yes, I held this yarn double because I wanted to get a better idea of how it felt and looked as more of a DK weight rather than it as a fingering weight. And I had no problems at all with its traction. Just that perfect amount of grip on my needles, no slipping and sliding or splitting, even with 2 strands of yarn on my needles. Now, I did have some user error of only knitting 1 strand instead of 2 for a stitch or 2, but we're just going to pretend that that didn't happen. For durability, we give it a score of 4 out of 5. As far as yarns go, cotton is a very durable choice. It has a high tensile strength, meaning that it is incredibly long-lasting. Now, cotton does tend to stretch and drag when it gets wet as it soaks water and gets heavy. It also doesn't hold its shape as you would expect an animal fiber to do. Merino yarns are more delicate since it's a softer, finer fiber. And I do imagine that the merino helps the cotton to hold its shape. When it came to the stress test, we noticed a small amount of fiber collection fabric to fabric and a more noticeable amount of pilling occurring when I was feeling the swatch with my hands. For washing, Knitting for Olive recommends you hand wash in cool water and lay it flat to dry. For cost, we give it a score of 4.1 out of 5. For being a 50-gram skein of fingering weight yarn, you can expect to pay $9 US per skein. That breaks down to about 3 cents per yard, meaning a size medium sweater would cost approximately $72. Overall, we give Knitting for Olive Cotton Merino a score of 4.06 out of 5. Okay, Knitting for Olive, we see you and we are here for this yarn. It definitely deserves a round of applause from us as we were genuinely impressed. It feels like such a nice quality with a very nice amount of softness from the cotton and the merino blended together. It absolutely would have received a higher score if it was more widely available, but we loved getting to support a smaller yarn shop to be able to purchase this yarn. So we had a little look on Ravelry and wanted to share a few pattern recommendations with you, hopefully to inspire you if you're wanting to use this yarn for a project of your own. The first pattern is the Sunshine Tee by Andrea Gaughan. It comes in 10 sizes with finished bust measurements ranging from 32 to 68¼ inches and recommends 2 inches or 5 centimeters of positive ease. It is worked top down, starting with short rows in the back to shape the shoulders. Then the front yoke is worked before the 2 panels are joined in the round and the rest of the body is knitted down. Stitches are picked up along each armhole for the sleeves, where you will work short row shaping before knitting down to the sleeve caps. Finally, stitches are picked up along the neckline and a folded collar is worked. The pattern also includes optional bust start shaping if preferred. The next pattern is the Twist Loop Top by Other Loops. It comes in 6 sizes with finished bust measurements ranging from 28¼ to 40 inches and recommends approximately 2 3/4 to 6 inches of negative ease. It is a classic rib knitted tank top with an elegant ribbed cable detail on the front. Due to the nature of the rib knit stitch pattern, this tank top is very stretchy. It is worked top down, starting with the back shoulder before the front yoke and joining them together after the underarms, where you will continue knitting in the round. The collar is finished with a folded double neck hem and the armholes are closed with an I-cord stitch edge. The last pattern is the Margaret Tee by Johanna Gehrisch. This brand new pattern comes in 9 sizes with finished bust measurements ranging from 35.8 to 57.8 inches and recommends 0 to 3 inches of positive ease. It suggests using 2 yarns to meet the fingering weight gauge, but I think you could do well with just 1 strand of this cotton merino yarn. It is worked flat from the top down in one piece in a simple stockinette stitch. It features a cropped fit, V neckline, raglan increases, I-cord edging, bows, and a delicate ruffle along the bottom edges. You, of course, could opt for buttons instead of bows if you'd rather. Have you used Knitting for Olive Cotton Merino yarn before? What yarn would you like for us to do a review on next? We would love to hear your thoughts and recommendations in the comments below. And if you enjoyed today's review, please give this video a like and subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you next time.